All right.
The following program paid for by Lifespan Wealth Management. Providing financial advice since 1993. It's time for Your Money with Sherry Goss, Randy Goss, and Jonathan Eisner. And now from the Macon studios of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's Your Money.
Good morning, Middle Georgia, and thanks for tuning in to Your Money, produced by Lifespan Wealth Management. As financial advisors, the main thing we do is provide retirement planning advice and manage our clients' investment accounts. So if you're looking for an investment advisor, call our office at 478-922-8100 to set up your complimentary consultation.
Lifespan Wealth Management has offices in Macon and Warner Robins for your convenience and has been serving Middle Georgia for over 30 years. You can learn more about our services by visiting our website at retirerelax.com. And while you're on our site, go to the special reports section where you'll find several reports that are available to you for free. You can also sign up to receive our digital feeds, which are short videos providing great information relevant to retirement, investing, and matters that affect your money.
We also offer seminars to the community at no cost. So if you're in need of a guest speaker for your church or civic organization, give us a call, and together we can decide what topics you would like us to present to your group. Again, our contact number is 478-922-8100. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. So fourth quarter, can you believe it? We're already here?
Not at all.
It's crazy.
I was sitting with a client yesterday, and she's in her 70s, and she said, she was like, we were talking about how, it wasn't understood that we were talking about how much time flies because she was talking about years ago, whatever. And then she goes, you know what? I'm just going to stop saying time flies because that's just the way it is. And it's just an understood. I'm just going to stop saying it. I appreciated that because it's like, hey, it's true. I mean, and everybody feels that way.
And, you know, it always seems like something your mom and dad used to say. And
Right.
now it's us saying it.
Right.
You know?
And my mom and dad still say it.
Right.
So she was like, I'm just done saying that.
And welcome back to Corey. He's back with us for the second time. So welcome to the show, Corey.
I'm going to try and be a little bit louder this time.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you will.
Excellent.
All right.
So market update. Trump strikes Pfizer drug deal. The Trump administration has secured a deal with Pfizer to sell most of its drugs to Medicaid at lower prices and launch Trump RX, a website for discounted direct-to-consumer sales. Pfizer shares surged nearly 7%. Consumers can expect to receive their gold-plated, this is a joke, okay, that Randy put in, gold-plated pill bottles, and I imagine they will come in the most awesome size. Oh, my God.
The best was a few weeks ago when whatever article we had something about swimming with dolphins.
Yes.
And Sherry got all those parts. She was like, I did not write this.
Who wrote
people."
this?
She couldn't
Right?
stand anybody thinking that she wrote all the parts about the dolphins, which was hilarious.
Thank you. So U.S. obtains Lithium Americas stake. The U.S. government is officially acquiring a 5% stake in Lithium Americas and its Nevada mining endeavor. The goal here is to secure a reliable domestic lithium supply. Shares on Wednesday rose about 30%, closing the day at $7.25 a share.
Non-farm payrolls increased by just 22,000 for the month, while the unemployment rose by 4.3%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics report on Friday. Economics surveyed by Dow Jones have been looking for payrolls to rise by 75,000.
Yeah, they kind of missed the mark on that one by a little bit.
Tad.
Just a tad. All right, let's talk about cash distributions in your portfolio. I recently read an article about clients who believe they can take an annual distribution of about 10% from their retirement accounts. And since equities have historically delivered roughly 10% annualized returns, this is a common but incorrect assumption. Though equities may annualize about 10% over time, returns vary greatly from year to year. For example, if your portfolio is down 20% and you take a 10% distribution, you will need about 39% gain just to get back to its initial value. We recommended that our clients take no more than about a 4% distribution, as we have been through tough markets, and it's a lot easier to recover from market downturns if you're taking out less money. But there are exceptions, and they're on a case-by-case basis. And here's the other big thing, inflation. It has averaged 3.18% a year since 1930. If that average rate continues in the future, a person who currently requires $50,000 to cover annual living expenses would need just less than $90,000 in 20 years and about $120,000 in 30 years just to maintain the same purchasing power as today. So track your investments and as you get closer to retirement, and eliminate debt payments. Increase how much you invest, and you'll be very happy that you did.
100%. Big news from the IRS, and this we've discussed this before, so this is more of a reminder than anything as this deadline approaches. But starting September 30th of 2025, the IRS will no longer accept or issue paper checks for any payments or refunds. Change is part of the government-wide shift to electronic transactions, aiming at reducing fraud, cutting costs, and improving efficiency.
What a concept.
Right. Taxpayers who currently mail paper checks for estimated payments or receive refund checks by mail will need to switch to digital methods like direct deposit, IRS direct pay, or the electronic federal tax payment system, the EFTPS. The IRS emphasizes that acting early is crucial to avoid delays or missed payments. If you're still using paper checks, now's the time to make the switch, because after September 30th, those checks could be returned to the sender.
So here's a side note on this one. I should have written this in here. But anyways, I've got a lot of clients with aging parents, and the aging parents will not stop doing stuff through the mail because it's how they've always done everything is through the mail. So if you have parents that are stuck on getting this paper check, please sit down with them and explain to him this and help them go online and set this up so that it goes automatically into their bank account, because you just don't want any more checks floating in the mail, period.
Right.
It's just a
It's just
mess.
too dangerous right now.
It's too dangerous. Yeah, I've already, it's terrible. So anyways.
Okay, so how government shutdowns, as we all know, the government was officially shut down on Wednesday of this week. How does that affect the economy? The federal government began shutting down at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday because our elected officials could not work together to reach a deal on short-term spending plans. Shutdowns can squeeze the economy in different ways, from missed paychecks for hundreds of thousands of federal employees to delayed release of crucial economic indicators. But duration matters. The longer the closure lasts, the greater the hit to economic growth and the work of businesses that rely on the federal government's daily functioning. Shutting down the government would come at a delicate time for the U.S. labor market, which spent the summer stuck in a stall pattern because of slow hiring. Without government data personnel on hand, economists and investors won't get the next big indicator on Friday, which is the September jobs report. We do have Corey did just mention the non-farms report, but the main jobs report was not issued on Friday of this week.
So what happens to federal employees? Shutdowns typically hit federal employees quickly in the form of furloughs, with pay delayed until the government reopens. An important question for the economy is how many workers are on the sidelines and for how long. The Office of Management and Budget decides which workers are accepted from furlough, which means they are needed for emergency or essential work but are still unpaid. In the most recent shutdown, which spanned 34 days from the end of 2018 through the start of 2019, 340,000 employees were furloughed, according to the GAO. But that was a partial shutdown because Congress had already passed some spending bills, which meant hundreds of thousands of employees could keep working and stay on the federal payrolls. In this case, a shutdown this week would be more like the government closure 12 years ago, with economists estimating that upward of 800,000 employees could be furloughed. Pay would also be delayed for federal employees who remain at work, such as members of the military. President Trump's administration has also threatened mass firings if funding lapses, raising the stakes for a federal workforce already hit by months of workforce reductions, restructuring, and rehirings.
Yeah, and so what happens to private businesses? Companies that depend on daily functioning of the government could lose business or face delays in vital approvals. During the 2013 shutdown, defense contractor Lockheed Martin furloughed over 3,000 employees who worked on government facilities or relied on government inspections to complete their work. At the time, the federal government also stopped issuing permits for drilling on federal lands, some export certifications, and loans to small businesses, homeowners, and developers. Without payment, small businesses that contracted with the federal government temporarily cut staff and reduced operations. The 2013 shutdown ultimately cut private sector job growth by 120,000 jobs, according to an estimate from the Council of Economic Advisors. So you can see that this shutdown affects more than just government employees.
So what happens to economic growth? Shutdowns reduce government spending and programs, depressing activity as a result. Unpaid federal workers are also less likely to spend money until their paychecks resume. Worries about airport delays or national park closures could curb travel plans. The 34-day partial government shutdown in 2018 and 2019 reduced annualized real GDP growth by 0.4% in the first quarter of 2019, according to the Congressional Budget Office. A full shutdown could more closely mirror the effects of the 16-day 2013 funding lapse, which lowered annualized growth by as much as 0.6%, the Office of Management and Budget reported. Economists say the economy generally makes up for any lost growth in a shutdown once the government reopens. In this case, Trump's threats of mass federal layoffs could leave a more lasting mark by making furloughed employees nervous to spend and potentially reducing employment.
What about travel and tourism? The travel economy could lose $1 billion each week in a shutdown. The U.S. Travel Association warned in a letter to congressional leadership last week. Transportation Security Administration employees and air traffic controllers will work without pay, according to plans published by the Homeland Security and Transportation Departments. But prior shutdowns still caused problems. In 2019, many TSA staffers called in absent from work, closing security checkpoints and causing airport delays. The National Park Service's 433 sites closed in a shutdown, though the public won't be blocked from already accessible sites. The 433 sites will close in a shutdown. This is according to its most recent contingency plan. Park entrances could lose as much as $77 million every day that parks are shut down. That's a lot of money.
Right?
I never realized parks took in that much.
Me neither.
Me neither. What not to do during a government shutdown. There was an article in an email I get every month from military.com, and it advised against cashing out your TSP, borrowing money from a finance company, and driving up your credit card debt. I told Randy about this, and he has some advice that is more rational than that.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Sherry. I have been through this before as the budget officer for the military.
Oh, that was terrible what you went through.
Yeah, and it was not fun to watch. And I was lucky I was not furloughed. Unfortunately, there were a lot of those who will be directly affected and very possibly not receive a paycheck for a period or two or maybe even more. I would say that this is an example of why you need an emergency savings account. However, if you don't have one now, it's a little late. So what do you do? First, you need to create a budget and separate the must-pays from the niceties. Basically, identify where every dollar will be spent each month and be prepared to cut expenses as needed. At this point, you should be focusing on cash flow. Check your credit card and bank statements to help identify automatic payments that you may overlook because they are automatically paid and you may not receive a statement for that specific service. Also, check out the debit or credit card swipes that you've been making. It's really easy to overlook the small amounts of money that we spend every day. You know, we live in a world where we're disconnected from our spending habits, and the habit of being disconnected from our finances can be costing you a lot of money each month in these non-essential charges. And if you are a civil service or a government employee, you have a thrift savings plan or a TSP, and you may have other savings vehicles outside of the TSP as well. Depending on the length of the shutdown, you may need to evaluate which of these savings programs you might need to tap into. And I would say that would be a last resort, but you definitely would want to do that before you went to a payday savings, payday loans place.
Absolutely.
Next, contact your lenders. Financial institutions may offer payment deferrals, loan modifications, and other forms of hardship assistance. For example, some credit unions are preparing to offer zero-interest loans for federal workers whose pay is affected by the shutdown. Historically, credit unions step in and offer assistance for members whose financial well-being could be impacted by a shutdown. And to prepare for a possible layoff, federal employees should research unemployment benefits and determine when their health coverage might end. Military personnel should be especially careful not to let their bills get out of hand and start missing payments, especially if they hold a security clearance.
Oh, geez.
Because when you apply for a job that requires a security clearance, you must submit a background investigation, and these investigations are extensive. Interviewees must submit information on past residences, family members, former roommates, and financial information. And sometimes bad credit flags make an investigator examine the applicant's financial picture a little more closely. And they do this because they must determine if the potential employee is vulnerable and could be exploited by an adversary. The bottom line is to create an open line of communications with your creditors if you know you might run into financial issues during the shutdown.
So I've got a question for you. So back when you were a budget officer and you went through that shutdown, which was an absolute nightmare for you as a financial guy for the J-Stars, Did you have people that actually lost their jobs because of the shutdown?
No, they
I
didn't.
didn't think so.
They were just basically they were just off work, and then when they came back when the furlough was over,
They got
did,
paid.
They did get the back pay, and now they've actually passed a law that says that they will get back pay.
Okay, good.
I actually called Financial Credit Union, Robbins Financial Credit Union, this week, and just to see what kind of support they'd be offering. And they said that all customers need to do is just call them, and they'll work with you on a case-by-case basis to see what financial hardships you have, and now they can help you during the shutdown. They'll discuss your options, and they'll work directly with you. And I imagine other financial institutions will have similar responses.
Awesome.
Very good. So if you need assistance determining which investment account to tap into in the event of a protracted shutdown, contact our office at 478-922-8100. We can and will assist you, cost you nothing. Call and set up an appointment with one of our advisors. Everyone has questions, so don't be afraid to ask a professional for some assistance.
And the bonus to this is that we won't charge for the service. Just make the call, 478-922-8100.
So common law marriage and client passing. So I received a call this week that one of my clients had passed and his live-in girlfriend is his primary beneficiary. They've been together for years. I called and talked with her to get more information and see how she is doing, and her husband had been very, very sick and passed very quickly. She told me she had already applied for Social Security as she is 65 and quit her job to help take care of him and has no plans to go back to work. Then she told me because they lived together for so many years, Social Security would make her status common law married so she can get his benefit instead of hers, which is higher. He had an IRA with us and she is inheriting it, so I called home office to see if they would also count her as common law married. As if she was, she could take distributions from his inherited IRA based on her life expectancy instead of the 10-year liquidation rule for non-spouses. Home office said they do not accept a common law marriage, so she is falling under the 10-year rule. This is going to throw her into a high tax bracket, which is so very unfortunate. So if you have a family member that is not married but have each other as beneficiaries on IRA and Roth accounts, explain the 10-year rule to them. It can be a financial disaster depending upon the balances in the accounts, and all they have to do is go to the JP and pay $75 and get a marriage certificate. Period. If they had just done that, she would not have to liquidate this account in 10 years.
Yeah, it's brutal. Although Georgia generally prohibits common law marriage, the state recognizes common law marriages that occurred before January 1, 1997, and those from other states where it is actually valid. The state of Georgia also recognizes non-marital relationships like domestic partnerships.
First, Amazon conquered retail. Now it's quietly building a $35 billion business that's changing how companies operate. Many consumers treat Amazon as their go-to source for any number of goods and services. But unbeknownst to most of them, Amazon has been bringing its might to the world of business-oriented commerce as well, where they're supplying even more companies with essential items that range from toilet paper to machine parts. Perhaps more surprising, these business-to-business B2B sales make up more than $35 billion in annual revenue, and that could just be the beginning of something much bigger. Analysts who spoke with MarketWatch said that they could easily see Amazon's B2B operations doubling in revenue over the next few years. If anything, Andy Hoar, Hoar, a leading authority on B2B commerce, says Amazon may be underestimating its current business sales, which he thinks is actually closer to $100 billion annually. He bases that on the fact that many companies are likely to make business purchases on Amazon's regular consumer platform as well as the business.
That makes sense.
Yep. And even then, Amazon faces plenty of competition in the B2B space. Players, you have to think both big and small. Think Amazon, or think Walmart for the large and your local office supply for the small. Amazon says it's pouring more resources into its B2B operations, and specifically its Amazon Business Platform, which it notes already services more than 8 million organizations globally, including 97 of the Fortune 100 companies. The company touts many of the same features for businesses that make it appealing to customers, namely its vast selections of products, competitive pricing, and speedy delivery through Amazon's shipping networks. On the product front alone, The offering includes hundreds of millions of items, according to Amazon, including janitorial must-haves, medical needs, agricultural supplies, and commercial kitchen equipment. In other words, the actual kitchen sink. At the same time, Amazon says it offers many services tailored directly to businesses, including delivering large orders on pallets or providing assistance with managing the ordering process itself. For example, Amazon lets companies create their own business list, essentially curating products to purchase so there is less time spent searching for the right item. It also says it offers analytic tools to help companies identify possible cost savings. And much like consumers can opt for Amazon Prime membership, which comes with a variety of benefits, including cost savings on shipping. Business can do the same with Business Prime membership. The price for the business program varies depending on the level of services and the perks.
Nevertheless, Amazon faces a variety of headwinds in its B2B operations, analysts say. Consider food. Cisco, a major supplier to the restaurant industry, asserts it's got nothing to fear from Amazon. A company spokesperson said Cisco's products meet the unique needs of industrial kitchens with large pack sizes and the highest quality ingredients. For that matter, Amazon doesn't pretend it's quite there on the food front. Analysts say Amazon could also face competition in the B2B space from other retail giants such as Walmart and Costco that sell many of the same products that Amazon sells to businesses. Walmart launched its own B2B platform called Walmart Business 2 years ago. Bruce Winder, a retail analyst, doesn't think Walmart or Costco pose too much of a threat to Amazon when it comes to B2B sales. In this space, it's still going to be nice and profitable in the number 2 or number 3 space. And pointing to Amazon's advantage when it comes to technology, they have a serious leg up in the current competition. And just FYI as disclosure, we have Amazon in our portfolio.
Yep. Just look at what Amazon's done with their company's web service, their AWS cloud platform, for example. They've created a powerhouse that in that space, FactSet analysts said the potential for their cloud business could possibly double in revenue within a few years.
Yep. Amazon getting bigger and bigger.
They are.
all
Pretty
the
cool.
time.
They're doing well.
Very cool. All right, this is a cool story. I thought millennial nurse commutes 5,000 miles from Sweden to work at a California hospital. She works 8 days in a row and rakes in over $100 an hour. From interns to CEOs, supercommuting has long been a way to make work fit life. But one millennial nurse is pushing the trend to the extreme. Courtney L. Rafa may call Sweden home, but every 6 weeks to the 32-year-old commutes some 5,300 miles to San Francisco, where she works in a hospital as a neonatal intensive care unit nurse, a NICU nurse. My wife is a NICU nurse. I don't know if you guys knew that.
I did not know that.
She's not currently, but she kept her licensing active. So
Good.
While some may call it crazy, she says it's worth it for her dream job. Making over $100 an hour on a per diem schedule, she only has to work 4 8-hour shifts every 4 weeks. And by stacking those shifts, working at the end of one schedule and the beginning of the next, she can knock out her hours in just a few days, spending about 10 days in California before heading home. She acknowledges the commute is absolutely outrageous, but says to imagine having 6 weeks off after working 10 days on a repeat pattern. She posted this on a TikTok video, and the video has racked up over 500,000 views.
You can just by that you can tell this resonates with people.
For sure.
Can you imagine?
It resonates with me. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Don't get any wise ideas.
Work 10 days and then take 6 weeks off.
Wait,
I was going to propose
isn't that what you do now?
Something close to that. Something close. Because the cost of living is lower in Sweden than the Bay Area, she said her paychecks cover her bills. Plus the $450 round trip plane ride to and from work. This is what she told Business Insider.
How is it so cheap? I don't understand how the flight is so cheap. 450 round trip.
Yeah, that seemed very low to me, too.
She probably buys it way in advance.
Probably Spirit Airlines.
So I wonder if she's under a contract like a traveling nurse and gets payment for her hotel and meals. I have clients who have done that. It is a pretty fantastic deal, but I don't know if she falls into that category, but that would be a bonus on top of
Right.
all this.
Supercommuters, typically described as people who travel more than 90 minutes for work, aren't new. But as workers weigh stability, family, and the cost of living against the daily grind, the phenomenon is only growing. During the pandemic, many people moved to cheaper, more spacious areas. However, with return to office mandates in full swing, some are unwilling or unable to uproot their families again. Instead, they've accepted the long commutes by plane, train, or car. Research from Britain train travel company Trainline found that the number of people in the UK spending more than 3 hours commuting doubled since before the pandemic.
That's
Now that sounds
crazy.
painful.
Horrible.
Meanwhile, a tighter job market has made workers more cautious about quitting. What some call job hugging, the reluctance to change roles can also keep people tethered to a faraway office, even if it means the grueling travel.
You know, we've come a long way in a short period of time from to job hugging from job hopping. You know, remember Shelby was just job hopping all over the place for the last couple of years, and now people just don't want to leave their job. It's
Right,
crazy.
or they're scared to.
In just a short period of time.
Right.
So the last time I went to a home office conference, I met a financial advisor that was moving to another state, and he called his clients and asked if they minded doing phone reviews going forward. And they said they were all fine with it. So he's living where he wants to, working from home, and I would really, really miss seeing people in person. I don't understand this whole thing. I mean, I like connecting with people. I don't want to be working from home.
I agree.
Or hopping around in different jobs or any of that stuff.
It's part of the fun of this
It
job.
is. With what we do, it's a lot of the fulfillment
Yes.
aspect
Yes,
of it is
absolutely.
being with people in person. I remember a couple years ago before I came on board, you guys told me that somebody who lived in China interviewed to work here.
Yes, they
Oh,
did.
yeah.
And maybe you ought to reconsider that guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's a super commuter world.
But he
now.
didn't want to commute.
Oh, he did not.
He did
want
not
to.
want to commute. No, no.
Well, I guess he could just do it by video conference. I think this story about Courtney the nurse is a very cool story. She found an opportunity, figured out a way to make it work in her favor, and she seems to be living her best life doing it.
I agree.
wholeheartedly agree.
Totally.
You've been listening to Your Money, brought to you by Lifespan Wealth Management, proudly serving Middle Georgia for over 30 years. Our mission? Helping folks just like you plan for a secure and stress-free retirement. Need a trusted financial advisor? Call us today at 478-922-8100 and schedule your complimentary consultation at our Macon or Warner Robins office. Want to learn more? Visit us anytime at retirerelax.com. Because when you plan smart, you can retire and relax. And here's something extra. We offer free educational seminars for the community. If your group needs a guest speaker, give us a call and let's make it happen. That's 478-922-8100. Now, let's get back to the show.
All right. This week's scam alert. This is currency. Trust is currency. Why AI is both the problem and the solution. This story is not the usual. Be careful. There are criminals looking to rob you blind on the web story. This one actually provides a glimmer of hope that people are succeeding in stopping a lot of this activity. In December of 1978, thieves stole $5 million in cash and $875,000 in jewelry from the JFK airport in what became known as the Lufthansa heist. Decades later, the money and the jewels remain missing, and the crime still looms large in American criminal history. Yet today, the equivalent of hundreds of Lufthansa heists vanish every year, not through elaborate robberies, but through financial fraud. According to the Federal Trade Commission, Americans lost $12.5 billion to fraud in 2024, a $2 billion jump from the year before, and that's just in the United States. That's the equivalent of 441 Lufthansa, I can't pronounce that word, heists in a single year. The losses aren't just felt in households. They ripple through the economy, undermining spending power and eroding trust in financial markets. The problem is global. The European Banking Authority has identified payment fraud as one of the top 3 issues affecting EU customers, while the UK's National Crime Agency reports that financial crime now accounts for 40% of all criminal activity in the country, totaling $3.1 billion per year.
For banks, payment networks, and businesses, these figures highlight a need for stronger protections because every scam erodes consumer trust and ultimately financial stability. Scammers are growing more sophisticated. We talk about this all the time. Criminals are arming themselves with AI, using deep fakes, synthetic voices, automated scripts, all to outpace traditional defenses, shift tactics instantly, and exploit global events in real time. Increasingly, these scams tend to begin on social media platforms. Technological advancement has accelerated both the speed and scale of fraud. What used to take months now takes milliseconds, and potential losses have grown from millions to billions to now trillions. Scams can now be deployed in minutes, scaled globally, and adapted instantly to new opportunities.
Banks and financial institutions play a frontline role in protecting their customers against these challenges. Real-time payments, mobile banking, and digital cards have made transactions faster and more convenient, but also more vulnerable to attack and exploitation. To stay ahead, financial institutions must evolve just as quickly as the criminals they're up against. How can we make the world a safer place to transact? Just as criminals are using AI to enhance their fraud techniques, institutions must leverage advanced tools and behavioral analytics to identify and analyze criminal activity, reduce financial crime rates, mitigate risk, and protect customers. Imagine people watching in a cafe. There's a man ordering a coffee, a woman in the corner looking over her notes, and a couple by the doors. By observing their behavior and mannerisms, we naturally begin to learn about who they are and what they're doing. The man is a European tourist, confused by the addition of sales tax to his bill. The woman is preparing for an important job interview, and the couple's tense stances reveal they've likely had an argument.
The same applies to data. By studying billions of data strands from transactions, you can build a picture on how individual customers spend their money and identify anomalies in their behavior. One solution that works in this way, adaptive behavioral analytics developed by Featurespace, a Visa solution, focuses on detecting good transactions based on the behavior patterns of authentic transactions. By understanding what good transactions look like rather than simply flagging bad activities, Featurespace helps financial institutions catch scams as they surface, improving fraud detection while reducing false alarms that frustrate customers. This technology adapts alongside changing criminal behaviors, eliminating the need to build customer protection strategies from scratch every time fraudsters invent a new scam.
Right. The criminals are relentless and have more tools at their disposal, making them more cunning. It's imperative that financial services continue innovating to keep pace. AI native solutions that offer real-time payment protections can help prevent billions from ending up in the hands of fraudsters. In a world first, Featurespace developed a large transaction model called Tallier LTM, which analyzes payments with the same speed and complexity that large language models process text. For financial institutions, it has demonstrated fraud detection improvements of up to 71% over industry standards, a competitive edge in an environment where trust is currency. The next battleground may be agentic commerce, and that is where AI agents autonomously shop, negotiate, and transact on behalf of customers and companies. Consider a refrigerator that restocks groceries automatically, or an AI system that negotiates corporate vehicle leases. The efficiency is clear, but so is the risk.
How can we prevent scams from duping AI agents to transfer money into the ether, while also ensuring that assistants can transact securely? Challenges like these will inevitably be exploited by criminals in the future, which is why Featurespace is working to stop them now. AI and behavioral analytics are no longer optional. They are now the foundation for protecting consumers, preserving confidence in the financial system, and staying a step ahead in a fight where falling behind is measured in billions.
I think this whole article is just fantastic. It's finally good to see somebody getting at least maybe not on par, but catching up to the bad guys.
Feels like turning a corner.
Yeah, it does. All right, let's talk about day trading. So day trading is about to get a lot easier for beginners, and this could get ugly. FINRA voted to change its pattern day trading rule, which would allow investors with smaller account sizes to trade actively. It could get easier for anyone to start day trading soon.
I don't like this.
I don't either, but should they? This week, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, or FINRA, announced that it had voted to change its pattern day trading rule. Previously, FINRA required investors to have an account worth at least $25,000 in order to day trade, which involves opening and closing a stock or an option position within the same day. Doing this 4 or more times over a 5 business day period would get you marked as a pattern day trader, potentially resulting in your account getting restricted unless you had enough money. Now, that restriction may go away, which would allow investors of all account sizes to day trade. Adam Cohn, head of trading operation with TradeStation, said that he believes this is one of the most significant changes that FINRA has made to equity market structures in decades.
The pattern day trading rule was put into effect around the time of the dot-com bubble as a way to put up some guardrails in response to an explosion in amateur day trading. The rule was not only meant to protect retail investors from trading too actively, but also to protect brokerages that had to monitor margin requirements and risk.
However, since the technology around executing retail trade has gotten much better over the last few decades, those brokerage risks have come down quite a bit.
But while technology has minimized the risk day trading poses to brokerage firms, risks remain for the individual trader. Market-making firms and brokerages that collect payments for orders benefit when retail investors trade more because they make money off of each trade. These firms are incentivized to encourage more active trading and are lobbying hard for changes like this. Unfortunately, it could be the average investor that is harmed. Now that FINRA has voted to change the pattern day trading rule, it will go to the Securities and Exchange Commission for approval.
Jonathan, you got any extra thoughts on this?
I think the bottom line about people who may be considering this is that unless you're extremely knowledgeable in technical analysis or lucky, you should stay away from day trading.
And if you have
and
the
I-
time
Right.
to do your research.
It is all consuming. It's,
Yes.
You never want to be away from your phone. You don't want to do normal life during trading hours. It's not a good thing to do, and you can lose your money very fast.
I think before anyone gets into actually actively day trading, they need to get on a platform that allows them into a training area, to create an account and trade with play dollars, and see
that's a good idea.
and see if you even have the ability to do it at the time.
That's
Do
a
you
good
ever
point.
call an account that
Yeah.
does that? Do
Yeah,
you call a name?
they call it
No.
paper trading. I
Not
think.
going to call a name.
They
Paper trading, the sandbox.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways to do it, but you need to find out if there's a way for you to do that, because you can lose money quick.
I have
Very
a
cool.
client that has most of his money with us and other money elsewhere. And he goes on his computer all day long and he watches all the holdings that he has personally that are not managed by us. And he's constantly buying and selling and buying and selling. And he'll see something going down and dropping like a rock and thinking that it's good based on what he looks at. And then he sells it at the bottom. I mean, it's like I just could lose my mind. Right? It's very dangerous. I mean, this is your money. This is your future and your retirement. You cannot mess this up. You have to be careful.
And that begs another conversation. You need to have a set of principles that you follow.
Yes.
Yes.
It has to be rules
Rules.
based.
It has to be
Absolutely.
rules.
Not emotion.
Absolutely.
That's
Not
it.
emotional. And that's where he is. He's very emotional because he believes in a stock and watches it right all the way down. And then it's like, oh gosh, I just lost all this money. And so now I'm going to sell it. And then it turns around and goes back up. It's
Yep.
really hard to watch.
I think this might actually be something that pushes people more towards advisors, because they'll get into this space, they'll lose money and say, hey, I can't do this on my own.
I think you may be right, Corey. It very well could be.
I think the other foundation or very important thing, if you're considering this, is don't ever. It's kind of like gambling, so don't ever do it with more money than you can stand to lose.
That's a good point too.
Think about
Yeah,
it this way: if this
yes.
went to $0, how much would it affect you in your life? So if it wouldn't at all, by all means. I read a book about day trading one time, and the guy was a multimillionaire, and he had in his day trading account was $25,000. That's it. That's what he used to try to make little swing profits here and there, and he didn't put millions in there to do that. He $25,000. So anyway, I would steer clear of it.
Me too.
Is my advice. Okay, Roth IRAs and Roth conversions may not make sense for everybody. It's easy to assume that avoiding taxes is an ideal strategy for managing your retirement account, but it is not necessarily ideal for everybody. Roth IRA conversions are a hot topic. With an aging population and retirees trying to limit their tax burdens. When you contribute to a traditional IRA, 401k, or 403b, those amounts are not taxed that year, nor are any interest or investment gains. Later on, though, all withdrawals are taxable as regular income when you go to pull it out in retirement. A Roth IRA or a Roth 401k is funded with after-tax money, which means that you will never pay taxes on earnings, gains, or withdrawals from that account. You can convert some or all of a traditional retirement account into a Roth account and pay taxes at the time and avoid paying them later. But the timing of one or more or multiple conversions can be complicated if you want to take those actions in the most tax efficient manner. It's easy to assume that you'll be better off taking the tax hit early during your retirement years, but it turns out that Roth conversions are not the best choices for most early retirees. Here's an example. One thing that most people probably don't realize is that when you convert an IRA to a Roth IRA before age 59 and a half, yes, you pay the taxes in the year that you convert, but you don't pay those taxes but if you don't pay those taxes out of pocket and instead choose to withhold them for the conversion, you'll pay the early withdrawal penalty, which is 10% on the amount withheld. Did you guys realize that? So that's something that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, that would go right by a lot of folks.
For sure.
Yep.
And I would argue that a lot of advisors probably don't even know that. Here's a quick example. You're under 59 and a half, 20% tax bracket. You convert $100,000 of an IRA to a Roth IRA. In the 20% bracket, you owe $20,000 in taxes in that year that you made the conversion. If you pay the $20,000 of taxes out of pocket, no harm, no foul. You're good. However, if you withhold the 20% from the conversion itself, then the IRS looks at that like an early withdrawal and will penalize you 10% on the amount that you withheld. In this case, that would be a $2,000 ding on the conversion. So all that to say, it's case by case. Many times over the years, I've recommended Roth conversions to my clients, but it has to make sense, and it does not always make sense for everybody. So
I agree.
Something to be aware of.
Very good point, Jonathan. All right, let's talk about Gen X. Gen X is about to face the biggest Social Security decisions, and tens of thousands of dollars are at stake for each person. Social Security is one of the greatest pieces of your retirement plan, often almost forgotten between the much larger baby boomer and the millennial generations. Generation X typically refers to those born between 1965 and 1980, which means the oldest among them are turning 60 this year. Gen X is also reaching retirement age at a time of potentially strong economic headwinds. Besides high inflation, stock market volatility, and job instability, there is also a threat that Social Security will become insolvent by 2023 or 2034, and that Medicare will face cuts, and that other Social Security safety nets like Medicaid could be decimated. Whatever happens, the decision about when to claim Social Security is a crucial one. There are three key points that Gen Xers need to consider as they approach age 62. The first is health and longevity. The decision about when to take Social Security involves an algebra problem, with the unknown factor being when you die. No one knows when that will happen, of course, but everyone can honestly assess their health at age 60. The age for claiming benefits go from age 62 to 70, with different benefit amounts at each point in between. If you have longevity in your family and are in good physical health, you might want those increased payments because they continue for the rest of your life, adjusting for inflation yearly. But if you have health issues or you really need the money sooner, this becomes something you need to think carefully about, and you can start at age 62. We suggest that you log into your personal account on the Social Security website and look at the chart that compares payments at different ages of claiming, because your monthly check can almost double if you wait just a few years, and that extra cash flow down the road can make a big difference in the quality of your retirement.
It's a very big deal. Number two is ongoing income. While some 27% of retirees end up relying solely on Social Security benefits for income in retirement, that's not the goal of most people. You need to look at your total income and debt picture before you make the decision about when to claim Social Security. The debt figures heavily into the Gen X picture. If you have some serious debt built up from student loans, which many Gen Xers do, or you're amped up with credit card debt, you have to take a look at that too. It might be beneficial to claim early in a case like that because it could help you take care of that debt and better handle your cost of living. And I've actually had a couple of cases of this where they took it early because of this exact reason. And the other piece that I'll throw in here is I had a case where a husband lost his wife and he was still working and they had debt. So he went ahead and filed against hers and then later flipped over to his, which was higher, so that he could have the extra income to pay off the debt. So there's all sorts of things that go into this.
Yep. A third consideration is a second act. Maybe consider working in some capacity as part of the retirement plan. If you can work, think about what you want to do. Nothing is out of the realm of possibility, even if you think it's too late for you to start over. And no two people are the same, so each person has to determine what type of activity or job they want to do and be capable of doing as a second act. You must be realistic, start doing some research, but don't dump your hard-earned retirement savings into an untested idea like day trading.
Right. Yes.
Right.
According to another publication that we follow, 37% of people work in retirement to make ends meet. 28 do so because they value their investments and has declined. And 16% want to keep their insurance benefits. On the flip side, according to the article, most people work into their retirement years because they enjoy their work or want to stay active and involved. Or maybe they just love the extra money that they can spend on whatever they want.
Right. Clients who work in retirement. So my favorite example is my client who loves dog sitting, and she has regular appointments. So she retired with a pension, has Social Security, but she does this on the side because she loves it, and it's her free money that she can use to spend on whatever she wants. So some people use her for a week when they go on vacation, as their pets have to be given shots daily or be fed a particular way. For some, she just walks daily. She has income from this work every week, and she loves it, and it gets her out of the house. I have a few clients that work for a medical center part-time, and this is a trend due to the shortage of healthcare workers. So there's lots of opportunities out there to keep doing something instead of just flat out retiring.
I love the dog sitter example.
Oh, she's
I do too.
fantastic. You would love her.
Yeah?
She's really fun.
That's cool. I like that because, again, something she loves doing, the extra cash. Why
And it's
not?
fun. And she literally stays at their house when the dog needs the medication. They literally have her stay in the house for like a week at a time when they go out of town.
Easy gig. She loves it. I'm sure she's passionate about it. It's pretty cool.
It makes free money.
All throughout college, I did dog sitting, and
Really?
at most, I had a person that I dog sat for a full month while they were out of the country.
Oh my gosh. How
Good-
fun.
good
What do
money
they,
in it?
What do they pay you?
I was $60 a day.
What?
60.
Oh my gosh.
Probably
what
Why
is
are
cash.
you working here?
Yeah. Why are any of us working here? All right.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good. Do you want to use AI for your personal finances? Well, choose your questions carefully. When it comes to personal finance, AI is a two-edged sword best wielded by experienced investors who know exactly what they want. AI has the ability to get you quick answers, but many investors don't know which questions to ask or the specific terminology to use in the first place. And even then, chatbots will sometimes give wrong or inconsistent answers. There's no question that AI has the potential to reshape financial services, but it's not ready to manage your money on its own just yet. Today's large language models, or LLMs, are impressive, but with decisions as important as your financial nest egg, you need to be very careful.
Another problem is inconsistent assumptions. For example, the LLM might use 2% inflation in one calculation, and in the next they use 3% inflation. Or it might include the cost of books in one college forecast, but only tuition in the next. When contacted for comment, the communications team at OpenAI, the parent company of ChatGPT, pointed to the company's terms of use, which include that output may not always be accurate, and that users should rely on the output as a sole source of truth, should not rely on it as a sole source of truth or factual information, or as a substitute for professional advice.
The American.
I was going to say, how'd you like to have a comment like that at your doctor's door? You know,
This output may not be accurate.
Right.
or something like that. For don't totally rely on what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah.
geez.
Right? The American public seems unlikely to heed such cautions. The share of U.S. adults who use the tool has roughly doubled since the summer of 2023, with 34% saying that they have used it at least once, according to a survey published by the Pew Research Center in June, which, whatever, I've never been in a survey from anybody. No one ever contacts us to ask us what we do. I don't know how they find the people. Have you ever been in a survey from
No,
the Pew
no,
Research,
I
whatever?
haven't.
None of us have, so I don't know who they're calling and what that even means. Anyways, a survey from Experian published just last year found that nearly half of its 2011 respondents have used or are considered using generative AI tools to help with managing their finances. 67% of Gen Zers and 62% of millennials say they already do so. To be sure, ChatGPT can come in handy when it comes to explaining investing terms or basic strategies like the value of a 60-40 portfolio or how to dollar cost average. You can split out the top S&P 500 exchange-traded funds by assets under management, or give you a list of some of the leading tech stocks in the market. Even in this case, You should double check your work with a reliable source,
Absolutely.
since ChatGPT can still share incorrect information.
Right. In a study published earlier this year, the TOW Center, TOW, for Digital Journalism, tested 8 generative search tools, including ChatGPT, and found that the bots offered up incorrect answers to more than 60% of the queries.
Wow.
That's terrible.
Right?
The study also found that the chat box tended to be bad at declining to answer questions they didn't have the correct answers, instead of offering wrong or speculative answers.
Yeah, that's a surprising number, over 60%.
That's bad.
So while AI may one day be able to help investors make crucial decisions about their investment portfolios, right now it can be most helpful to understand concepts and get initial investing ideas, all of which need to be backed either by the brokerage companies you are trusting to manage your money or via your own research.
High earners age 50 and older are about to lose a major 401k tax break. Starting next year, the extra catch-up contributions that those workers use to stow money into their 401ks will have to go into their accounts after tax for high earners. The Internal Revenue Service issued final rules this month on a 2022 law which set the threshold for a high earner at more than $145,000 in wages. This change means that many workers will pay taxes on their catch-up money up front during the high-earning years instead of in lower-earning years in retirement. The money would go into a Roth account, which can later be withdrawn tax-free. It is the first time that the tax code is mandating Roth savings, which gives the government its cut up front. A 60-year-old in the 35% tax bracket could lose a nearly $4,000 deduction for a $11,000 $250 super catch-up contribution. That raises adjusted gross income, which could disqualify people from other tax breaks that phase out a higher income. Levels such as deductions for student loan interest and for the state and local taxes, it could also push these workers into higher tax brackets. The worst case scenario is for high earners who don't have access to a Roth 401k. They won't be able to catch up contributions at all. Plans aren't required to offer a Roth 401k option. Those employers have been scrambling to add it.
All right. When older, higher paid employees who get shut out of making these catch-up contributions start complaining, more plans will likely be offered offer these features.
While the Roth mandate looks harsh, for some savers it could actually be beneficial. While they're paying tax on the money today to put it in the Roth, they'll have a tax-free retirement income stream, which is what I was thinking while we were going over this. Is, hey, it's not the worst thing in the world. Now you're a high earner. You can't otherwise contribute to a Roth IRA because you earn too much money, and now you're being forced to. It's probably not the worst thing in the world.
Right? This change in the law could be an opportunity for savers to re-examine investments. People often spread their savings among pre-tax Roth and non-retirement retirement or brokerage accounts.
Many high earners have too much in pre-tax accounts and are trying to save more in Roth because of the tax consequences in retirement.
So,
All right.
good.
We've got about 2.5 minutes, Sherry. See if you can
Cram this next article
cram
in.
this next article in
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Forgotten 401k assets hit 2.1 trillion. So here's the big deal that everyone needs to hear. You need to talk to your kids about this, please, if they've changed jobs a lot. The number of assets in lost 401k accounts increased 30% to reach a staggering 2.1 trillion, as reported by the analytics from Capitalize. The firm this week released a report titled The True Cost of Forgotten 401k Accounts in partnership with the Center for Retirement Research. It found a continued growth in the number of misplaced 401k accounts to 31.9 million as of July 2025. Further, the analysis shows continued growth in the number of lost 401k accounts over the years. 3.5 million accounts were left behind in 2023, yada yada. Higher 401k participation rates and ongoing complexity in the 401k rollover process have pushed unrelenting growth in missing. I met with a person a couple of years ago, and she'd moved jobs 10 times and never rolled her old 401ks over into her current IRA. And when she found them and went out and started digging around and getting to this, they had all gone to cash. So for 10 years, all of her money had been sitting in cash and not invested, and she lost all of that time investing. I'd never seen anything like it. So please, if you've moved jobs and don't understand your 401k that's sitting out there somewhere, get it rolled into your current one or into an IRA if you're retiring or whatever.
Yeah. You know, they said that, and we're closing in on about 30 seconds here. They said that According to the findings, 2.8 million thrift savings plan accounts are now expected to be left behind by the end of 2024.
That's insane.
Yeah, and it's terrible how many are just people just walking away from them.
I'll tell you the bigger risk than being put into cash against your will is that it is losing track of the accounts.
Yep.
If you've changed jobs that many times and whatever, and then it's like there might be 3 accounts you don't even remember that you had.
Oh,
Well, that
terrible.
and the fact that Trump's putting in alternative investments is going to make it even harder for people to get them converted to new programs. So anyway, we'll cover more on that on another program. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening to Your Money, produced by Lifespan Wealth Management. As financial advisors, the main thing we do is provide retirement planning and advice and manage our clients' investment accounts. If you're looking for a financial advisor, please contact our office at 478-922-8100 to set up a free consultation. You can learn more about us by visiting our website, retirerelax.com. If you have a question or topic you'd like for us to address in a future broadcast, email Randy at rfmoney.com. We look forward to connecting with you next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Osaic Wealth is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic Wealth.